All right, all right, all right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your favorite podcast, Talking That Talk, where we have official, comfortable, and uncomfortable conversations. I'm your host, Juice aka The Ordinary Brother.
What's good, everybody? I go by the name of King Exodus. We appreciate your time. Thank you for tapping in. Make sure you share the live, tap into the IG and the YouTube.
Man, you smiling right now, man. What's going on? What's got you smiling so soon? We didn't even start yet, man. I just gotta know what's going on. That's it.
Man, just funny times, man. Funny times.
Funny times, man. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right. Uh, one of those small topics we're gonna start with today, man. I gotta bring up something that's been going on in the Houston area. Came across this news. I thought it was crazy. Um, three teens try to murder their mom for turning off the Wi-Fi. Three teens between the ages of 14 and 16 was chasing their mother with a knife. And I always talk about this new generation, the things that they're adapt to that's already considered their normal.
Hmm.
When you cut certain things off, people are very agitated, very rampant, very how do you say unconcerned with everything else that goes on if it's not met to their needs. And I'll be honest, this is the first time I actually see something within the African American community. I think it was more shocking to know that hey, even the young kids with even in our culture are will experience the same things that we've seen other individuals do. So I wanted to address this situation is like, what is going on with is it the parenting, is the lack of parenting, is the guidance, kids too much in tune with technology? What makes a child within this next generation so attached to Wi-Fi?
Man, um, it's a lot to unpack. The Wi-Fi is the lifeline. A lot of kids these days. That's your streaming, your video games, your TV. Everything revolves around the Wi-Fi technology. We definitely between sugar and technology, America is really hooked. Uh,
Mhm.
and specifically technology, we talking cell phones, Wi-Fi, interacting with the technology. One time I was coming out the gym, a dude had a Tesla. He just left the gym. He pulled out
Mhm.
his phone. He's standing by the front of the gym. His Tesla pulls up. I'm like, fam, you just worked out. Like you got your electric car to pull up to pick you up from the front door of the gym. Hey, scary times. So parents have to have like a relationship with their youth and the aspect of like the nostalgia behind doing things in old fashioned ways. It could be like somebody told me today, like they want to go to the library and see if they still have library cards. I was like, okay, cool. Like that's an experience to pass down. Some people still keep their DVDs, their CDs. Some people still got a couple of VHS tapes. Um,
VHSs.
some people still got the old style cameras. That's kind of coming back a little bit. Just different things to remind them of the old days. Some people take it to the extent of, planting their own food to a certain, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to not be, even though like we're in our 30s, if you're like in your 30s, still connect with ways of old and then show that experience to the youth because outside of you, they really don't have it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, getting back to it, the Wi-Fi thing, it still goes back to me with the girl in the baton situation.
Mhm.
Um, everybody is so quick nowadays to tap into the illnesses of mental health and the craziness behind not getting their way and crashing out. And this becomes the norm. And like before you told me that story, I was like, oh, white people. And then he was like, nah. I was like, what? So we're beginning to do things that's culturally not us, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, some people could say it's in the food, some people could say it's like programming or whatever, but at the end of the day, we're parenting children moving forward in very fucked up ways. The kids are lazy, spoiled, and once again, they're hooked to sugar. You know, they eat like trash. The food dies. Everything that's gonna do the complete opposite of what we need the food to do for them. And then on top of that, the parenting is too soft. So change their health, change their diet, but most importantly, parent to where you teach accountability, you teach responsibility, you teach consequences. A lot of parents don't take things away from their kids just to show them, hey, like this is just a practice. You don't always get what you want. Sometimes you hear the word no. So we sat back and laughed at white families for the longest. Them spoiled kids, they spoiled. The mom come in there try to parent him. He like, this is my fucking room. This is my space. We laughed. Now, hey, I'm telling you, it's becoming more and more common for black families too. So whether we go back to I've noticed something. I don't know if you can attest to it. Most people, black, that I've seen that grew up in the 70s, a lot of them weren't good parents. A lot of them they didn't discipline their kids a lot. They took a more laid back approach. Me thinking the way I think, maybe in the 70s they just got too many ass whoopings, and that made them soft. And then now we come on the cusp end of that. So we grew up in the 90s, so we had a blend of, well, I don't know about you, but I was still my grandmother, I love to death. You be in public, she'll just slap you. Like
Damn.
that's how I grew up. Yeah,
No, man.
she slapped you.
Nah, I got discipline. No, I
Yeah.
have got discipline.
Yeah, so my grandma wasn't cute, cuddly, like, So I grew up in the cusp of my grandparents still whooped the ass. My parents was with the shit too, so, but they weren't over the edge. Nowadays, like I said, the grandparents soft, the parents soft, so the children are soft too. So, not to drag that out, we just gotta get a little tougher on these kids, take things away from them, put them in programs. If you know you a wimp as a parent, put them in programs. Get them in boxing or martial arts or, um, put them in challenging things. Challenge their mind. Teach them how to play chess. Teach them how to shoot. Teach them how to do so many different things to where they just get used to thinking and using their brain. Because at the end of the day, the technology is teaching them how not to think as much. So you got it.
Bars. Nah, man. Last thing I'll comment on this subject is definitely you're right. One of the conversations we had with a good friend of mine last week was talking about the Bible and everything. So everything you talk about is a scripture. If anybody knows, it's called sparing the rod. He who don't spare the rod, who spares the rod doesn't
Better
love their children.
around
Like
sports.
you're supposed to like discipline your children, get them right on the path of guidance. I don't, this world's kind of different. People want to let their emotions run out and they need the freedom to express things. Like, listen, I always be honest with myself. Not every time is a situation where you need to express your feeling. Sometimes things are exactly what it is. You need to treat it for exactly what it is. It's too much times like, hey, I'm going to allow my child to express themselves. I was like, that's cool. That doesn't do anything though, right? Same thing about the spoiled child that would cry in the middle of the store because they didn't get what they wanted, and then get what they wanted. There's no difference from you saying, "I just want my child to freely express what they're going through." Like I actually look at both situations the same. If a child can be spoiled in the store and cries while they get what they want, a person who has the freedom to express themselves is going to express themselves on the basis of it can get disrespectful. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. It can get disrespectful. It can get anger can get involved. Consequences can happen. Like the freedom to express yourself. I know people are saying it can always maneuver to a physical altercation. It, it it starts verbally, but when you don't listen verbally, it then becomes physical. Let's be honest. Let's keep it real. And this is why within the conversation I had last week we was talking about it's necessary to do the things that you are guided to put on earth to do, even if you're looked at as a bad individual. And one thing I said before is like growing up as a child, I wanted to be a hero, but as I got older, I realized I became a villain just because there's certain principles, standards, and morals that's inputted into myself and others that I know that people look at as a bad guy for us to keep things aligned to get that child or that person into the right place. Like I accept it. And like I said, with new things within different generations, what their norm is it's going to be the normal all around, regardless of race, sex, or anything like that. So I would say
Yeah.
people pay attention, and hey, monitor your kids better. That's all I got on that
Yeah.
subject. But what you got?
And life has rules, and kids need to understand. Um, I won't go too hard on the girl with the baton, hitting the other girl in the head, but life has rules, and life has rules of engagement. A lot of times we having conversations in the adult world, specifically, let's say political. And here we go back to feelings. People have conversations that's supposed to be intellectual, but they have them emotionally. So now everybody does everything emotionally to where no one wants to put the emphasis on intellect. So if you're going to have a certain type of conversation with somebody and the requirement is prove what you're saying, yo, I need a list. I need names. I need dates. I need times. I need things that in a debatable stage, it counts and it accredits as solid resources. Well, people's mentality, it doesn't develop to that extent because now researching things take time. Reading things to see the facts takes time. Comparative studies to compare one thought process to another thought process or a time period to see maybe what happened over a lapse of time. This is how you become a functioning, thinking adult enough to have certain type of conversations with people. But now what happens is people just think emotionally or they watch the news. Whatever the news say, that's how they feel. It's a lot of people go and have these debates with people, and the first thing they do, they pull up what they saw on Facebook. Fam, that's not information. That's not research. Or you go pull up an article. Fam, an article is not research. Someone wrote the article. Now we have to find out who wrote the article, where do they stand, why did they write it. That's how you go back to making that a valid resource. So we're just dumb. I'm just put it like that. We're dumb and we're raising dumb kids that's overly emotional and nobody wants to think because that takes too much energy thinking. Now, if you want to punish your kid, put a textbook in front of them or a workbook and let them sit at a table with nothing on in the room, no TVs, no cell phones. The game is changing. The punishment is no longer physical no more with these kids. Ass whoopings, I mean, yeah, they might need a couple of ass whoopings for sure, but their brains aren't being challenged enough. So that ain't the topic for tonight, but I just have to throw that in there. This creates you adults right now in 2025 that still want to have emotional conversations when they need to be intellectually based. So, you got it.
No, what's the next topic, man? Did you have a topic?
Man, I want to do this, so I do it in a way that you could do it too. So Jaden Daniels, quarterback for what they changed the name of this team so many times. Washington Redskins, Washington football team. Yeah, quarterback, NFL, great athlete. He was sitting next to Juju, USC basketball player at college. It seemed like they was vibing, they was flirting, it went viral. And then what happens? His mother came, sat smack dab in the middle, and that went viral. Like everybody's seen that. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know if that's really how it went down, because we weren't in that conversation. But outside looking in, that's what the world made it out to be, social media. So it opens the door for us to have a conversation of mothers being too territorial, even with their adult children. Like, um, and that was weird if that's the case, because now you had two black athletes at that, both have their own money, so that could have been a good thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why this. And some people say, well, it's because maybe the mother is single, but I'm seeing people be in relationships and their mother was married to their father, and they were still
Still do the
over
same thing.
territorial. You know, couldn't pass down the power structure. Like a woman would be, it'd be very tough for a very dominant mother to even give that power and authority that she has over her daughter to even her daughter's husband. You know what I'm saying? So this is why a lot of people get divorced. This is why a lot of people don't marry. It really don't even be the friction between the two people. A lot of times, the friction is coming from that parent. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
let you do that.
All right, y'all. Let me go ahead and put some game in y'all here one time for the one time. Maybe put a little bit more if you pay me, man. But you gotta pay me for some of this stuff. All right, listen. The situation that happened, I want y'all to pay attention. Um, they were sitting next to each other. The mother comes, the one Juju moves down, the mother sits in the middle, and now the man sitting on the outside. When you want to block certain interaction from happening, you sit on the inside. But if you don't mind the interaction to happen, you would told your son, "Hey, move down. I'm gonna sit here so you can continue talking to your conversation." That was a clear block move, 100%. If you really wanted people to interact, you see the energy thing. Anytime I ever been in a situation, whether whether it was me and my daughter, I might have been on an outing with somebody else as well. To make sure both individuals could get the interaction they want out of me, I would sit in the middle, just so one can lean and talk to me, and the other one leans on. There's things you do that represents uh, the clear communication between each other that both of y'all value, both of y'all can talk to me. But when you sit on the inside and block out word communication because you feel like you need it or you're in an authority position, you're foul. I'm calling it for what it is. Son husbands do exist. I'm gonna always keep saying that. Son husbands do
Mhm.
exist. Just like you have stated. Hey, listen, a son could be married, and that mother's still looking like, hey, that's still my son, that's still my child. I still have rights over this man, regardless of how old he gets. Like they said, you're a child forever in somebody's eyes because they birthed you, regardless if you're a grown adult. So if they still have that mind mentality, it never switches when you're a grown individual. You're still the child that they raised. So we got to be able to, I'm not going to say we have to be able to, that child needs to be able to separate, hey, listen, that was me when I was younger. This is me now. But see, some people feel stepping into them situations and putting the guidelines, boundaries, and certain things in place that they're overstepping and that's disrespecting their mom. Like, no, you're not disrespecting your mom. You need to be able to say certain things that connect with her to make her understand, hey, listen, this is now unnecessary. This is now not needed. I can make my own decisions. I know what to do from this day forward, but most men don't ever do that. I'm sorry, listen. They always say, hey, how do you raise a man by another man? But if a man was raised by that woman, he still has to learn how to put himself in a position to say, hey, I got it now. Because she's going to still look at it like you still need me. And that what happened.
Okay. All right. All right, man. You ready? I'll let you introduce the main topic.
Yeah, he want to let me introduce. He lazy. Anyway. All right, y'all. Tonight's conversation is hood politics. Why would we do hood politics? It was some things that was crossing my mind. I had a couple conversations. I'm getting word back in the hood. Even out here, that some things are about to pop off. And I always say it's kind of interesting the way hood politics always work out, right? I always say the best thing in your life is to always be an individual that's never into anything. You're neutral, right? You got friends that represent this, you got friends represent that, you got people over here, you got people over there. But once you cross a certain line, that same person you shaking hands with can then become your enemy. And then y'all people forget, like even other hoods fight each other just on the basis of being different hoods, or just one person fight each other, and it's literally just a fight between each other. It then grows into an expansion of okay, since Third Ward is fighting South Park, it's now South Park versus Third Ward, but it's not that situation. People would inherit traumas, beef, unnecessary things once they partake in certain situations. One of the situations that occurred, I was thinking about Sauce Walker and his artist said something rest in peace. I wasn't really sure about that whole dynamic. But I've always told X, I said, X, one thing I know if we ever become artists or if I became artist, I would have to sign to a label that actually represents my image to where I can have the free will. Now, most people, if you ever pay attention to label signings, most of the time the artists they sign to represent a certain type of energy all the time. It goes hand in hand, right? It makes more sense like you're a thug, sign with a thug label. You're a rock star. You sign with a rock star. Then you find the some of the record labels like Atlantic and Interscope. Some people in Interscope that have the free will to be whatever you want them to be. So let me get back on subject. Sauce Walker goes to Memphis. Situation pops out. The individuals end up dying. But I always look at it like, how does he cross into Memphis and get himself into a situation when it was an individual that was necessary from his own hometown that died? So certain people are saying like, listen, that was hometown beef that was going on as to why this individual had got killed. But I'm looking at it like this: whether Sauce was informed or not informed, I always look at it like, well, once you step into a situation, I can just be your friend. But if you're a part of something I don't know about, I then become a part of it just because I'm next to you. So with a transition to how this topic gonna go, we're gonna put in a lot of different examples, things we may have experienced, things that we still see partake within hood politics and demonstrations like that, and we'll keep it moving.
Yeah, with the Sauce Walker situation, said that his artist had a beef. He ran off on the plug, or hit some people up for some money. Um, we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars, maybe 100. Not too sure.
Mhm.
But supposedly this individual was warned, don't come back, and he went back anyway. So the whole mentality of running off on a plug and fucking over people and robbing people, you know, and then when these type of things happen, people do the whole resting sad thing, and it's not, like I don't know nobody in the situation, but if the facts are what they seem to be, if that person really did run off with somebody bag, then that's what you call street justice. Like, it's not sad because it's somebody you know or somebody that's close to you. That's the game they chose.
Mhm.
Like, um, you know, a bit of my past and what I've seen people do is, let's say, um, let's say I'm frontlining my group of individuals, and we run into a situation where it's ops or it's leading to become that way. I'll be the frontline person and say, okay, this is how we're going to address the situation. Why? Because if we fuck this person off in a way that's not honorable, then it's going to be some repercussions. And it's not saying that we scared. It's not saying we're not with that, but it's saying that if I got caught in the same situation, I'd hope that I get offered a one-on-one too. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I always move in that aspect. I ain't gonna rob somebody because at the end of the day, I don't want to be on the other side of the gun. So
Mm.
what I don't want done to me, even in the streets, I ain't gonna do it to nobody else. The mentality nowadays is I can do whatever and I'll let it see another day. And that's just not how it works. And then you have some people that do that, and I've seen situations where um, people were brothers. They had beef. Let's just fight it out. What happened? The other person's supposed to be a brother, kills the other brother. Didn't even
Mhm.
fight him. So, you do have that situation to where you can extend grace to somebody, and then the streets are kind of teach you that, well, you mean well, but that's the easiest way for you to become food because the person on the other side of the gun, 9 times out of 10, don't have that same grace for you. So at some point, you just got to choose what life you want to live. You know what I'm saying? And pick that and understand that there's boundaries to everything. Now, me personally, you don't know what everybody's into, but judge your friends and the people you keep around you, even if it's business, judge them based on their actions and based on the company that they keep and the type of situations and lifestyle that they show that they live. If you know this person is into some foul play or they got beef and all these other types of things, those are the deciding factors that you need to put into play to see if it's worth being around this person or not. Because that shit will happen. We've had dudes recently in the last couple of years, and this is another common thing, and is they'll be dating a chick. What happens? Well, ladies, you know what y'all do. Uh, you got the new dude in the mix. You're not really completely done with the old guy. Even if you ain't having sex with him, he still got too much access to you that's inappropriate. You haven't closed that chapter completely. You're entertaining a new guy. You got this new guy in your space. They cross paths. New guy don't know everything that's going on. Old guy come take the new dude out. So you just got to protect yourself at all times. You have to treat yourself like you're the CEO of a $1 trillion company. Treat yourself like you're the president of America. Treat yourself like you're on that standard to where every interaction, every relationship, you have to fully understand what this person got going on because you don't want them to come back to you. So, they say Sauce didn't do that in that situation. Yeah, so this type of things happen every day. Sometimes that person, how he got out of that situation, that's another story. But sometimes, and we got to keep it real, guilty by association, even if the shooter in that situation, even if it's a physical bullet, whether it's a court case, whatever. A lot of people get caught in court cases and they weren't involved, but they was there. So whatever the other side of the gun looks like, guilty by association, sometimes the people that wasn't really associated, sometimes that story is flipped to where, let's say, Sauce gets killed and the other guy gets off. Sometimes it happens like that. So not to drag it out too long, but you have to be careful of the company that you keep. All right.
No. Okay. Man, we're talking about brother situation. Let me tell you about a situation I've been a part of. There was one homie I used to have. We part of the same organization, part of the same group, whatever. And the other brother was part of another organization. There was peace between us, right? Peace, everybody get along. Then something stupid happened. And we got to talk about the dryness of beefs, like dumb stuff. Like there's a situation that might pop off over a nickname. Yes, I'm talking about literally a nickname of who was called this nickname first, and now stuff is starting to rise. I'm talking about how dry that is. Some stuff hop off within the groups, and all of a sudden we beefing. Now remember, the guy that's with me is my homie. He has a brother that's his blood brother that's with another group. So once word got off, like, hey, listen, we going against each other. It's war. It's about whatever. Imagine coming home and your brother literally trying to kill you after that. Yes, literally put the gun to his head and squeezed. But he hit his hand quick enough so it ricocheted. So inheriting beef and trauma, and then this your own blood brother, I found that was crazy. And then this is what makes it even a little bit more. This is why I say it's better to stay neutral in situations. That same homie that was part of what I'm part of, you feel? He also ended up switching sides. So imagine a person we was protecting, we was riding with. Now I gotta ride on you. It's like, hey, it is what it is, and don't forget the other side already tried to kill you. Well, excuse me, they attempted to do something, but now it's like the same people got your back. You turn your back, and you made an alliance, and now I gotta. We all go to war. Like this is some of the stuff that we talk about. As you get older, it should sound ridiculous to you. It should sound like, yeah, this is not something to be a part of, but we also understand the things that we signed up for as we maneuver through this world. I got taught what it was. Hey, you cross certain lines, this is what it is. But we all live a different set of rules and standards. And the rules and standards is not the same everywhere you go. And this is what is the ultimate demise of everybody, right? Some people might have heard, for instance, hey, we don't mess with people's family members. If we got beef or war, it's just between you and I. It's people that'll do it. You got people that'll be like, hey, listen, there's certain places where there's innocence around, we not doing nothing. Some people don't care where we at. So certain codes and principles where you might be raised on, you think that applies to everybody, it doesn't. This is why every time somebody says, some of the people that call themselves street niggas, I be like, every street is different. It don't matter what you believe. It's different. You think the same rules apply for where you get love in your hometown? Absolutely no. But this is the mindset, and this is the mindset, mentality, and the shaping of an individual believing, hey, it's the same wherever you go. Now, we didn't talk about how sometimes hustling and the corporate world can intertwine and have some similarities, but bro, they're still completely different. Just because you have similarities in certain areas and different industries, different works, doesn't mean it's all around the same. Ethics is different. Codes is different. Rules is different. Principles is different. Stop thinking you can apply the same things that you instilled in yourself into somebody who don't even fucking know you. That's ridiculous. But that's my little smear right there. Understand what you're signing up for and what it means.
Hey, I play dominoes, bro. People don't even play dominoes the same everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like everything changes based on where you at. Um, I'll say this. We have to change the narrative of what get back is. If your family member, your friend, your brother, whoever, if they did some foul shit to another individual, uh, I don't think that's a situation where you look for get back. That person had a beef, they had a situation. Now, if you in the beef, cool. But if you're not in that, stay out of it.
Stay
Because
out.
what you got to understand, some people believe in karma, some people don't. Some people believe in universal law, which karma would be one of the laws. Some people don't. But it tends to be a repetitive thing. Live by the gun, die by the gun. Even the Yellow Beezy and Mo3 situation, to where a lot of people was like, oh man, Mo3 went out. That was bad. That was sad. Well, another side of it as well. Let's just say hypothetically, Yellow Beezy gets shot, and what went viral is dude getting interviewed about his shooting, and Mo3 puts out a song, and everything lines up. Or, uh, you know, Trap Boy Freddy, Mo3 supposedly did a couple of things. So when these type of things happen, once again, not in a situation, but outside looking in, if the narratives line up, uh, at what point do we just understand that that's just what certain people signed up for based on their actions and the lifestyle they chose? There's no way you can avenge that. You know what I'm saying? If if I go out here in this world and I make reckless moves, at some point I have to expect to deal with some type of repercussions from that. I was always taught if you get down to any type of activity, there's only two options: death or jail. I was never told it was a happy ending and you take all your money and become a successful entrepreneur. A lot of these kids these days, or youth, the successful entrepreneur at the end, that's not even a dream they're looking for at the end. It's just straight. I don't even know if they get taught as death or jail no more. Honestly, I think it's just you go out, do everything you want to do, and you you live good. Like that's not how the shit works. That's the purpose of a big homie, a big bro, or a G, quote unquote, is somebody to tell you how this shit ends. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we've seen G's like, you got your big U's and people like that that's been doing things for so long. But even if they established themselves in the 80s or the 90s, mark my word, most likely that was the last time they actually touched real action. You got to understand what I'm saying. Like, people can build a reputation, and after the reputation is built, they really don't engage hands-on physically no more. That's where the young nigga come into play. He's now the shooter, the aggressor, the person that makes all these things happen. He's giving that person that reputation. at that point. Because when somebody tests that person with the status, he don't get out there and get his hands dirty. He gets somebody else to do it, which furthers his reputation. So, it's kind of like if you was in my age gap, early 20s, we had a lot of pyramid schemes going on. That was the thing. Everybody trying to get you to sell something. Motherfucker try to get you to sell coffee, all kind of shit. Sign up under me, and then you get this, and then everybody that sign up under you, I get paid, and then the person over me get paid. Yo, the streets is a pyramid scheme. You know what I'm saying? Everything you do at the low, and it's crazy because you have people that's quick to go to the streets because it's a bigger payoff that you see up front. But the same reason why you don't want to work a 9 to 5 is because you don't want to work for somebody else. You don't want to not be a boss. Well, that's the same thing in the streets.
Hmm.
You're not the big dog yet. You don't own anything yet. You're not the person that's running the organization yet. If you ever get to that status, you still fall in line under somebody else's system. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So the hood politics is crazy. So we have to make it to where if you do engage in what we call get back in any situation, let's flip it. Let's say, me and Juice had this conversation. We like, yo, we fathers. We got daughters. Say our daughters, in a relationship with somebody. First thing we scaling is, well, who is this person? First off, did I approve of this relationship? It's levels to everything. Okay, facts. Okay, let's move forward. Something happens, you get into an altercation with this guy. It's not just jump up, let's shut everything down and go crazy. Now, off of impulse, that may be the reaction, but logically, we're both thinking like, okay, well, cool. Let's go back to the basics. A, did I approve of this relationship? Okay, bet. Did you listen to any of my advice? Okay, bet. Now, let's scale it back. Okay, altercation took place, but before we move, I need to know the full truth. What did you do to bring this situation to this level? Because I know if it went to a certain level, you're not just an innocent victim. When we begin to parent like that, when we begin to be like that as a big bro or an influencer, the people that come behind us, they'll kind of know like what type of situations to bring to you or not, because they know what you're going to say. If they know they're going to get a lecture and the lecture is wrapped around logic and truth, they probably don't even call you with some shit like that pop off. They're going to call somebody that's going to be quick to act, slow to think. And that's what society is becoming. So going back to the hood politics, if people just slow down and think, shit don't even be that deep. When you get into like these 30, 40-year beefs between gangs, a lot of people never stop to think, what really happened? Then you find out, oh, somebody couldn't keep their chip. So here you go into a 30-year gang beef because somebody chick was fucking somebody from this side and they didn't fight. And that's another thing too. Yo, Nipsey had an interview. I won't be too long. Nipsey had an interview and he was like, what really made him change was he started figuring out that if he stayed in the streets 100%, he was going to go to jail. Like I said, death or prison. So he looked at it like the technology was changing, because he said it was an incident to where he was questioned on something that happened. He was taken into custody. And the only way they took him into custody was because they linked his phone to a cell phone tower that was nearby. He wasn't involved with the shit, but by association and by that, he was questioned. So he started thinking like, oh shit, the way we used to move, we can't move no more. So that's something to think about too. All these people that's going to jail for quote unquote murder for hire, what do you think happened? Technology is going to continue to advance, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not. We've had cases to where people thought they deleted messages out of their phones, and when they went to trial, guess what happened? The Fed still had access to that messages and information. You study stocks. You study stocks. You study AI. Yo, this shit is continuously developing. So the transition takes place When the street nigga, quote unquote, studies another world, which is the legal world and the tech world, and he sees and evaluates how this shit can play out. So the further technology develops, that street shit is played out. Mark my words. It's like it's played out. It's not too much shit you can get away with no more. It's a camera everywhere. Everything's recorded. Everything is accessible. Like it's so many things that's in place. So what you now have to calculate is like what's worth it, what's not. And this is what's going 1994 crime bill. I don't think niggas got it until it was too late. Same thing happened now with this technology. All this killing shit, it's gonna have to change. It's gonna have to go back to the 70s and the 60s, which means a lot of y'all might not even be street no more because what's gonna happen is if you don't want to go to jail, you're gonna have to fight.
There you go.
Going to jail for a little, assault or whatever, that's what it's gonna be because all this murder for hire shit, like paying people to do your shit, and I never looked at that as honorable because it's not you. If you physically do something to me, I personally physically got to do something back to you. I can't put nobody in the middle of that and be like, okay, yeah, I did. No, I didn't do it because I didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? So all this shit people got away with in the 90s and the early 2000s, that ain't the same game no more. So we look at people like Suge Knight, Jay Prince, all these people, they would not exist right now if they had to build those reputations right now because of technology. It's not that easy no more. You actually got to do that shit yourself now. So that'll be my close off. War is something that changes over time. Back in the days, war was like the leaders meet up in the middle of a field and it was rules of engagement. Nobody kills the king. Nobody kills the warrior. They meet up. You set times for war. There was a couple of ambushes, but that wasn't really the thing. People met face to face, head on, sword and shield. After the archers fired off their rounds, that was it. There's no more shooting. Now you got to get down there and fight. How many people would be in the military right now if that was the case? All right, maybe I'm going too far, man. You got it.
Man, uh, what that boy said, keep going. Yeah, man. But no, let's go ahead and jump into that situation right now. One of the things he brought up that's very key value is war. War is different. How we fight is different. Everything is different now. Once you can grasp that idea that, like I said, technology advances and stuff, you got to understand that either you're going to adapt or you're going to die. That's literally my mentality of a lot of things. Adapt or go extinct, adapt or die, whatever it is. To where a point where the things that you're engaging in on a high basis is going to eventually deplete. Like everybody keeps talking about, hey, crimes is going up. I was like, yeah, crimes is going up, and everybody getting caught even faster. So it's not that crime's going up and people getting away with it. Things are going up at the same time where technology is catching people. No matter if it takes a week, two, or something of that nature, it eventually gets caught. So with yourself being involved in certain situations, I always say, listen, understand there's a time period where you're going to actually have in your mind where you feel like, do you want to continue? Do you want to stop? Do you want to grow? Do you want to keep showing up? And that's one of the biggest battles that most people have is when they're looking to separate themselves, they don't have the people around them that tries to help them. In most movies, most TV shows, what ends up happening? It's always a romantic partner. Oddly enough, it's always a romantic partner. A girl sees a man hustling in the streets, like, no, you better than that, baby. I like to show you how to do this and get that going. Then he starts thinking, like, yeah, you know what, maybe I can. Then people be like, yo, bro, you got your chick changing you and stuff, bro. That ain't you. This is what you are. Like, as much as people see these in movies, I want to let no, that's really real life. I can't tell you how many times I had conversations with people where I done already told them something, X might have told them something, but it always takes for them to get involved with somebody romantically, sexually, or anything like that, for them to actually understand, maybe I can do a little more, be a little better. Maybe I can understand certain things. But there's also the people that come around that try to stay around with individuals that try to pull them out the butt, right? One of the funniest things I told X, I was like, listen, just like Boys in the Hood, you had the homie that was on the high enlightenment, right? He was high consciousness. He was talking about going back to Africa, doing certain things like that. And they're like, man, nobody's trying to hear that, bro. Like, hey, listen, we here right now doing this. He's trying to educate them on certain foods and everything. Bro, that's literally real life. I know I've been in that position before. I'm not gonna say I talked about back to Africa, but everybody has been in a position, well, some people have been in a position where that one person is already separating themselves outside the box and want the others to come. But others are still like, I'm not sure if that's for me, or like, I hear you, bro, but this is not the time right now, because they're too busy or too indulged into the things that they keep themselves high off of. And like I said, I remember me and X, we always had a change of time, exchanging informations. I think I might have been first out of college or before college. We was talking, X was hitting me up about what is the movie, The Color,
Hidden color.
Hidden Colors. Hidden Colors. So he brought up a good scenario situation. He was like, hey, bro, we move like this, we can do that. My mindset was like, yo, bro, I don't care what you see, bro. It's going to take something to be unified, and it's going to take years and down the line. But easy enough when he made his statements and points, he really shut me out to a point. I took a dive into it. And sometimes it actually takes the people who can shut people up for them to take a dive into some information that can actually help them see a different life or be on a different path. But we got to also help them individuals that do that type of stuff and want to protect them at the same time. I had a homie that used to just show up to the other homies all the time. Like, yeah, man, I'm just coming back. Like, I know how everything's been going. But at the same time, him showing up for them, he ended up putting himself in a situation he didn't need to be in. I said, bro, you keep showing up trying to pull people out, and you don't even know you're getting pulled back in. The more you keep showing up, the more you're going to eventually stay there. No, it's cool to shake hands, pass by, check in every once in a while, like a holiday, come around once a year, maybe twice a year. It's not for you to keep going. It's eventually your presence and what your actions have shown will let somebody know, hey, look, John been doing this thing on the outside, bro. I mean, to know that he came from where we are and moved a different way, maybe there is hope. Maybe we can do that ourselves. But if you keep showing up, eventually it's just going to say, hey, listen, you got pulled back in no matter how far you came. And that's the cycle. Some of us get pulled, was been out so long, you get pulled back because now you want to take what you have and try to pour it back instead of being a person who pouring it in but making people come to you. You got to know power is an exchange thing. And when you're trusted with power, that's when it's now given to you.
Mm-hmm. Facts, facts. I like that. Um, Reciprocity is key. Hood politics, street politics, black culture type shit. Whether it's your family, your hood, your set, whatever, people feel indebted to the extreme. No matter what I have to give to this person, no matter what I have to be involved in certain situations. So at the end of the day, you don't. Your biggest obligation is to self. Because if you don't make sure self is right, self can't perform. If self don't perform, then you have nothing to give to nobody else. So this is how it works. Even if that's your family, your set, your hood, your clique, whatever. So sometimes the biggest way to love people is to have distance. Because through distance you continue to function, and then maybe when you do tap in with these people, what you have to give is actually a value because the time and the distance is there. One of the biggest things I did early 20s was I left the city. And it
Early. Everybody
was
left
no
early.
brainer. Like, no brainer. Like, opportunity came, took it, ran with it. Didn't even think twice. And what that did was it allowed me to see the world different because I wasn't where I grew up from. So now cultural shock takes place. Now shit that I was gravitating towards learning and studying and diving into, I have the time to do it because first off, the distractions aren't there. You know what I'm saying? Somebody called me, something going down. I'm 30, 40, 50 minutes away. I'm not 10 minutes away no more. I'm not 5 minutes away. So I'm not as accessible. Now I counter that with let me be as busy as I could be in an effective way. So Now, when I do pull up, or when I do have conversations with certain people or interactions, now you see the person that, like, a lot of y'all, you would never reach the pinnacle of who you are, just your character, because you're still in the same environments. You
Mm,
have to separate.
mm,
The minute you separate, you come back, now people can give you that, oh shit, you look different. You don't look the same. You don't talk the same. Like, people I've had conversations with people that, you know what I'm saying, I talked to these people for like over the past 10 years. And last year and a half, they're like, fam, you're different. Why? You give yourself the distance to create the person that you're truly aspiring to be.
mm,
You're not who you are naturally because you're that person. You only get to certain levels based on the effort and energy that you put into creating that person. A lot of
mm,
people think you're born a certain way and that's it. No, anybody can modify anything about themselves. So even when you take it to the hood politic type of conversation, a lot of these guys that's the top guys or the tough guys,
mm,
they actually put thought into that.
mm,
Somebody decided that I'm finna take all this shit over. Somebody decided I want the most rank out of all these people. Somebody
mm,
decided that block, that section over there, that's mine too. I just got to put the effort into making that happen.
mm,
Everybody's manifesting something within themselves. It's just how you do it. If you do it on the hood level, that's the lowest level, quote unquote. It's a micro and macro conversation to something bigger. The same way that person is moving, it's the same way people are moving in politics. Yo, fam, this politics shit don't pay that much, but you have politicians that got $1 million salaries. How does that happen? We just having this conversation recently where, a doctor, um, women come to them to have childbirth. They know off the bat they get more for C-sections. Do you really think they're gonna say no? You don't need that, knowing I can get paid more for cutting you open. Nothing is bigger than the hood. America made the hood. See, this is why you have to separate from the hood to see how the hood actually formed. Prior to the hood, quote unquote, prior to black people being Democrat, quote unquote, black people were wealthy millionaires. They owned everything. They had their own businesses, properties, land, everything. What happened? White people said, okay, aggressively, we're gonna take that shit. To where you have areas like Central Park was originally Seneca Village, to where we're gonna pass laws to where we can take the land from these people. That was one way, and then another way we just come through, kill everybody. That was one way, right? So what was another way? The first, now this is going in politics. We have one side say we're for labor unions, one side say we don't really rock with that. Well, the first labor union was created to employ whites and give all of the rights and jobs to white people because black people had all the jobs. I don't know if y'all knew that or not. Black people had a lot of wealth and businesses, and black people had a lot of the jobs because the jobs were factory based in America. So you create white labor unions, we fire all the blacks, hire all the whites. Whites were massively incarcerated prior. They were the criminals. So to get them out of being criminals, we create labor unions, hire them, get rid of the blacks, and then inevitably they got rid of the factories. And this is another conversation of why your president wants to bring factories back to America and produce in America. Another conversation. But so what happens? Detroit was real big in what? The car
automotive.
production. Right. Automotive. Detroit gets hit the hardest, one of the places, because that was heavy on that. They take the factories, boom. Now you have your first eye-opening experience to what the ghetto slums looks like.
Mm,
Systematic. So yeah, we built freeways through prestigious black areas that people had successful communities. Then we removed the jobs by creating labor unions, send the manufacturing overseas. Now these people don't have their communities are wrecked, they're displaced, and also they don't have no more employment. Now the hood is pop off. Everything is systematic. So now, politically, uh, how you want to structure your life, now you're playing a game because you see how all these things came to play. Black people didn't just wake up and say we want to be hood niggas. That's not how it happened.
Mm-mm.
So now we have to find out how do we get back to where we were historically. But you have to understand history first. This will create a sense of displacement. Like, yeah, I'm doing this shit. You may be real good at it. You know what I'm saying? Being on a low level of shit, but something has to trigger you to where you like, I could be doing more. To me, no cap. It was knowledge and information. The more I learned, the more I was challenged to change.
Mm.
Even in politics, whatever. Stock. I talk about stocks a lot. The more I study stocks, everything makes sense. I see $1 trillion market. Money's moving every day. When I study this market, now I see the economy play out differently. Political conversations hit different. Everything hits different because I see how this is affecting a market. And even if you aren't individually invested into that market, everything you own is tied to that market. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to knowledge and information. So the hood person just got to separate themselves from the hood so you can see how many things actually govern the hood. And now you should feel like you're not in control at that point when you see how many different factors make that place how it is. So you got it.
Man, great job, brother. I don't even know why I say great so much. One thing I always say about the examples, we also put historical things behind it so people get the context of things. They always say America always had a method of reversing things that have always taken place, right? Let
Mm,
me give you out one of the simple ones. They say, hey, listen, at one point in time, we had the land, they had the Bible.
mm.
Somewhere down the line, they had the land, and now we have the Bible. You know what I'm saying? It's everything has always came in a reversal within time on how they can literally switch the roles in order to gain themselves in a power position. But if, like I said, this is where you have to also position yourself to understand what's going on. You got to stop taking things for word of mouth. Sometimes you need to read, and sometimes if it takes you for go back to school. Listen, I'm a person that going back to school so you can understand what you're reading and do so. You can't be lazy and just be. Most people like other people to tell them what's going on than it is for them to research what's going on. Most people want to be told what's going on than it is to research what's going on. That means you like the hearsay. Well, hey, somebody came on YouTube and said this and that, this and that. Okay, cool. But I can show you the actual source right here that they're using,
Mhm.
and they're choosing to give you only certain information and not all the information. See, omitting information is a way to weaponize things for your benefits. You know that, right? You know when you omit things, there's a way to weaponize things to your own benefits. Because if I don't tell you the whole truth, then I got you exactly where I need you. This is where X came into the picture earlier and said, hey, we got daughters. We'll ask about the situation. Because we know we've been in situations, whether it's personally or one of my friends, where information was omitted with a relationship between a man and a woman. We take certain actions, and then all of a sudden we found out it was a lie the whole time. They just wanted somebody to defend them. I just needed you to go teach him a lesson. I can't let him play me like that. See,
Mhm.
you weaponize stuff when you don't tell the truth. You weaponize stuff when you omit information. And this is another thing where, let's say, for instance, they always say, hey, some church jobs will tell you like, hey, listen, where are you trying to go here? You can tell them all your hopes and dreams. I want to elevate. I want to get to the next level. Blah 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 blah. Right? Go to the streets. Hey man, what you trying to do, man? I'll just trying to do something small, but I want to, build up to the reputation that everybody come to me with a plug. People don't understand, like, once you reveal information, you're also telling me how to hold you accountable and manipulate you to get you what you want. So this is why sometimes people don't always reveal everything up front because we don't know what's going to be weaponized. But if you reveal everything, at least be transparent with me to let me know your level of ambition and your determination to see if your actions will match it. Some people will say like, hey, listen, I want to lose 30 pounds. Cool. A whole year go by. Did you lose 30 pounds? No. I'm like, why don't you lose 30 pounds? Well, a lot of things happen, this and that, whatever. Some people want people to hold their hands every step of the way. But if a person tells you out loud what they're going to do, I expect you to do it. Why I got to hold your hand? Why do I need to check on you?
Mhm.
See, we have accountability partners with people we built up trust. Trying to establish accountability partners with people who have never showed anything that's worth trusting from is ridiculous. Like, I'm a big believer in if I work out with somebody, I'm back in the gym heavy now. You have to already be in the gym. I don't want to work out with you if you're not in the gym. I don't. Like, some couples be like, oh, it's sexy, it's cute, we can get in there together, blah, 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 blah. If there's a day I go and I don't go, and you don't go because I don't go, that shows right there. It shows you the level of what you really wanted to do because you was thinking, hey, this is all about unity. Like, no, if I don't go because I'm sick, I don't go because I'm working, that don't mean you stop going. That means you continue. That's when the baton should be passed that, hey, I've been with him long enough. I still got to do things on my own. And some people never learn how to do things on their own. Now, a little bit long with it there. I want to take this to another route. We got to also talk about a lot of people in the hood already have leadership development skills. They have organizational skills. They have business development skills. If you don't know, let me break it down to you. Organization skills are internal. Meaning if there's issues going on internally within their groups and organizations, they know what to say to get everybody back on the path. Business development skill is basically saying you can merge, you can do acquisitions, mergers, and partnerships to expand your operations within your business. There's so much things, like I said, I can break it down even on a corporate level, but you still have to understand you have to be able to pull them people out for them to see what they're doing. And it's up to them from there on to be able to understand, even if I'm doing something on a low level business, can I transition it to a high level? Yes, you can do everything. Even the high levels can influence the low levels. The low levels can influence the high levels. Because all the high levels are going to be like, listen, you're just like me. You're just not in the same light as me.
Mhm.
But we can see you getting here eventually. This is why people throw down a rope, pass them the ladder. You have to be willing to take these certain leaps in order to get out of your situations. Those are the same people who can negotiate. Myself, X, I, some other people, we was always there when situations popped up, but when we showed up, hey, listen, people's like, all right, bro, so they're mutual. All right, bro, let's just do this accordingly, right? I mean, I had a situation before where I showed up to a party when I was younger, and everybody was like, hey, some of y'all gonna laugh, whatever. They were like, y'all know Candyman? I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, well, yeah, you good, you good, you good. So imagine when you don't have a certain status or respect or people know about you. You don't even know if the people around them would have took certain actions because you didn't show up. And this is why we always say as a man, when you show up in certain situations, you keep having to action, you keep keeping your word, you keep doing certain things. It's people who naturally know when you show up, hey, it's time to act right. Hey, wait. So here, hey, I'm not gonna fly. We had a small situation within my family. Be transparent. I'm gonna let you have it. There was some beef within the family, but everybody knew when we went to grandma's house, none of that shit is the show. That was an unspoken thing for everybody. We can beef with each other, but at grandma's house as mutual zone, we're gonna act like nothing ever happened. We're not gonna show certain energy to make other people retaliate. We're not gonna let other people get in between the family time or anything of that nature. That was just an unspoken thing. But see, if you never had those type of connections with people, you're thinking, hey, beef is everywhere we're going. And it's not, right? Because those neutral spots where emotions and physical altercations can happen, you know what happens over time? Eventually, you can create peace. Because if you can show up and not fight, and technically, if y'all see each other outside of it, you're supposed to be on site. It starts dying down. And when things die down, that means things can be mended. So, for all that being said, understand how you maneuver will have the biggest impact in the environments. Start establishing mutual spots, mutual territories, something like neutral territories, to a point where let's see if we can mend certain things. That's it.
Yeah, and you always got to be aware that rules are rules, but everybody don't follow the rules.
Mhm.
America became America that way. I think it was it George Washington. Uh, I think it was George Washington, to where, when America was fighting for its independence, they broke the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't supposed to strike down the leader. Well, they utilized Indians, quote unquote, knocked off the leaders, and then eventually you killed the opposing army because the leader was dead. So, going back to the micro macro conversation, um, if you're successful at the lowest level, like you were saying, like if you understand, look, the common theme in any market is buy low, sell high. In any market, anywhere, hood, legal, whatever. When you transcend just the hood thought of that, because now you have to be told that anything is possible. And if you are limited in your thought process, then you only can use your skill sets based on however big that box is that you want to live in. Your skill sets and capabilities can be very expansive, but if you trap them inside of something, that's what you're going to see. So first, people have to know that anything literally is possible. If you could run this type of operation here, chances are you could be very successful in stocks. Chances are you could be very successful in different type of business acquisitions. You just have to have the knowledge. I won't even say get to the faith and get to the belief. First, you just have to have the knowledge of how the worlds are very similar. The biggest thing I learned in school that stuck with me was reading comprehension.
Mm.
Being able to I got so good at it that I stopped reading when I came to answer questions, multiple choice questions, because I knew what to go look for. I had a whole little method that I highlight certain things, underline this, circle this, do this, do that. I had a whole little system, and I finished fast. Reading comprehension was on point. Uh, a thing that I think a lot of adults have forgotten in life is when you had those two circles and you put those circles together, and on one side you fully explained this side, one side you did the same thing, but in the middle you had to do the same thing. You had to see how these two opposing themes, what did they have in common? When you start to see the world that way, now you transcend even hood politics because you see how everything goes together. So before you can have anybody to instill belief within you, that belief comes by you having a knowledge that it's something bigger than what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So that's why if you want to kill somebody's ambition, you kill their vision. What they
Mm.
can't see, they can't connect to. And this is why history is so important. This is why people go over, you know what I'm saying, into cutting people off from their history and their culture. Because if I can create a narrative to where you come from, I can create a narrative to where you can actually go and connect with. Because home is destroyed. So it's just a lot to unpack. Um, you know, it's a lot of people that's tapped into like the educational space, like actual teachers. And I think the reoccurring theme is that you can restructure a system to educate kids, but if all of these kids' households are in destruct, sometimes it just don't line up with these kids being successful academically. So we have to attack the home. Home has to be right. So going outside of hood politics, because people have kids and families within the hood, even if you're not involved into the politics. The way you escape the reality is Umar said something that was key, even though he got some shit going on right now. But Umar
Yeah.
said something that was key. He said, "Look, if you have a child and you don't have a dictionary, and I think a thesaurus in the household, if you don't have that in your library or a library in the household, you're raising a kid. What do you say in a prison or a insane asylum or something like that?
I
Like
forgot
your
what he said.
house is now a prison. That's key, right? The only way we navigate this is through knowledge and information. Everything else aligns. Then you can fix your issues with money. You know, quote unquote, people in the hood to be quick to flip money, but slow to invest money. Similar, investing will be more impactful, but what tends to happen when we have these conversations about the wealth gap in the Black community, we've closed that gap 1,000 times. I don't know if y'all realize that or not. Through the streets, looking at if we look at movies like American Gangster, we closed it with heroin. Then crack cocaine comes. Then you have from what late 80s, early 90s up until now, how many different drugs have ran through our community? When we see the rappers, we see the people running off on the plug for 40, 50K, 100K, we closed the wealth gap 1,000 times. Now the problem is not getting to the bag because we know how to do that. Believe it or not, we find ways to navigate shit to where it's unreal. Whether we claim kids on income tax, it's not ours. Like, Black people don't have a problem making money. Black people have a problem circulating money and investing money. We just don't know what to do with the money. So now we change the narrative that Black people don't touch the bag. You touch the bag. The hood look the way it look, but there's a lot of people with money in the hood. They just don't know what to do with it. This goes back to knowledge and information. Once you get the knowledge and information, you have to see yourself at a lower level in order for you to expand to a higher level. Because now you know you got work to do. So what is your relationship with money? You always want to invest more than you save and save more than you spend. You want to invest more than you save and save more than you spend. And even certain things that you spend should still circulate back to investing and saving, depending on how you spend money. Still enjoy it, but if you're not investing, then evaluate your relationship with money. Because what's the point of making money if you're not investing in it? And if the only way you know how to invest is to flip, then you really don't know how to invest, because it's not about flipping. It's about growing your wealth and value and network. So everything in the hood is fast. When you get outside of that, things tend to move at a slower pace, which is why people say, fuck this, I'm going to just go back to that. You have very successful people that's like, look, job pay this. Yeah, I'm making, a nice amount of money, but I'm in debt. I got things going on. Bam, I'm still connected. I'm going to just go back to the streets for a couple of hours a week because I need something quick. That's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not in that world because that's all they know. Some people have already transcended, but they still know they have a connection or two. And if they want to utilize that, they can step back. It's consequences with everything. So money management is key. Your relationship with money is key. Right now, if you could put $1,000 into an investment, $1,000 into an investment wouldn't kill you, but you got $1,000 to put in. Would you do it? And let's say you get a return on that investment less than 10 years, let's say over 5 years, would you do it? A lot of people wouldn't do it. This is how millionaires are created every day, because they see the future. So going back to the hood politics, because this is outside of street shit, but if you can struggle to look good and drive a car, you can not so much struggle. This is where vocabulary is important. You can sacrifice just to invest, just to have a better return in life later, because the return is not for you, it's for the people that come behind you. Now we could have, going into, I'm throw a little, what they call it, Easter egg, next episode, we're going to talk about inheritance, passing down things. The reason why the hood is the way it is because no one inherits shit in the hood. So once you break that little cycle to where everybody don't got to get it out the mud and start behind the 8 ball and start from scratch, now you just change the entire trajectory of your family. You change the trajectory of everything around you because you see life 10 years plus in advance. So investing becomes the key. And even if you do touch things fast money, then you just invest harder. Imagine if, like, we have BMF type stories every day. Imagine if all those families, like what we say when somebody get killed in the hood by the police, what if they had $1 million policy on their life or something close to it, or life insurance nonetheless? Once that happens, well, guess what happens? Whether people are racist or not, they'll stop killing black people, because if this is going to create wealth and abundance, they're not for that. So you just have to see everything as an opportunity, even in the world where you think everything is against you, because it's not just against you. When you have conversations with people outside of your culture, you tend to see that a lot of cultures share the same experiences. Everything is not about you. So poverty is the key. Classism is the key. Somebody said something very important. Racism is pretty much classism. Well, it was like racism is like classism or makeup on or something like that. Like racism is really not a thing. It's all about classism. So when you start to see things in that particular space, you move different. So we can close it if you
All right, that's it, man. Go ahead and close us out, brother. I gotta get in the gym, baby.
All right. Hood Politics episode, we're closing it out. Talking That Talk official podcast. Thank you for tapping in. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Talking That Talk official podcast. Links in our bios. Up top, we have No Ordinary Brother. I go by the name of King Exodus. And we out.
All right, y'all.